Justin?
On Earth.
Let me zoom in for the camera for that one.
Oh no. You can't keep them on Earth, but at the same time, look what happened when they were on Earth. Look how easy Thanos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the It Started With a Thread podcast.
Yeah.
It is. That the fam is back in the building. Today we are going to be doing our Avengers Infinity War review. The preview is already posted. The link to the preview will be below, where you can also subscribe, like, view, love, share, comment. So the squad is in the building. We're going to go ahead and get the introductions going. As you know, I am your host, Jerrell. To my left,
Tiffany.
I'm Terence.
Justin.
Dr. Kendall L. Walton, PhD.
And to Willow, Blank, Jamarcus in their absence, we see y'all.
Yeah.
Yes. They couldn't make it today, but we love them just the same. Destiny has arrived.
Thanos broke us up.
Yeah.
So like the Avengers, man.
They were claimed. They were the
ones
other
that
half of
drifted
the
away.
universe.
Yes.
They chose the other line.
Yes.
Exactly. For context, we have, as a group, everyone in this podcast, we've been watching all of the Marvel films since the first Iron Man. It's like 10 years.
10 years in the making.
Yes. We have. So it was sad that Thanos was the first villain that broke up the squad, but here we are. We're going to give you our thoughts, our opinions, the whole nine on the film. So let's jump right into it. It was epic.
Man, it was wild. That was crazy.
Epic doesn't describe how good this film was.
Oh my goodness.
Like, it was wholeheartedly, without a doubt, without a question in my mind, the best Marvel film inside of its cohesive universe. Hands down. Like, Civil War and, Winter Soldier were both fantastic films, but this one did so much for not just villains, but like the whole Marvel universe. Fam.
It flowed.
It flowed so well.
Questions were answered.
Definitely.
Wow.
And more questions were brought up. Really. Truthfully, yeah.
And let me go ahead and say I apologize. My allergies are bothering me, so I probably sound really bad. Just bear with me. I made it. I'm here.
Tiff's a trooper.
Yeah,
She's hanging in. But one of the things I always say with films is how well it's paced. One thing I saw, I forget who, so I apologize, I can't credit, and probably plenty of people have said it. But somebody brought up the question, do you think there was too much superhero on the screen? And I bring that up to tie it into the pacing because personally I felt like when you first think about it, all of these characters that are on this screen most of them have been given multiple films, right? So you're talking Iron Man, Captain America, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor.
Not Hulk. He should have another movie, I'm just saying.
Hulk should have
another Hulk movie,
though.
But point being, the pacing, like, do you guys think that there was too much superhero, or do you guys think that given the task they had of making all these people be cohesively placed on the screen with enough time for everybody, did they do a good job of it?
I think they did a good job. Like, I remember in the thread we talked about how it felt like it was 3 separate movies, but they combined them to make one entity, and it flowed. I mean, we went to movie theaters, and I think our movie started at 8. I didn't realize it was 10 o'clock until I checked my phone, and I'm like, oh, it's 10:11. Like, dang, I didn't even get bored. I pulled out my snacks at like 10:12. Usually I pull out my snacks at like 8:45, somewhere in there. I was like, this is a good movie.
Nice. I really don't get that comment. There was too much superheroing in the movie. Like, you came to see a superhero film. Like, I can understand if you think, oh wow, there's just a lot of action going on. This was 10 years in the build-up. Like, we needed to see nothing but action. I didn't need to see Tony Stark. I needed to see Iron Man. Even though they're the same person, I needed to see, Iron Man fighting. I didn't need to see Steve Rogers taking a jog like he did in Winter Soldier. I needed to see Captain America, a.k.a. Nomad, right now, being Nomad, leading his team, trying to figure out how to stop this threat. This movie, for those of you who don't know, it's basically the collection of 10 years in the making leading up to this one epic climax scene. Yep. It needed all of this that happened. It was a lot. Like, literally from the first scene with Thanos just holding Thor's skull, like it just needed everything, and it gave everything.
Thought he was gonna die right then.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna die right then.
Shout out to Heimdall when he went and sent Hulk, because remember we talked about like how did Hulk leave from the ship on Asgard to get back to wherever he was. We had discussed that before. Yep. So, I mean, they answered every single question that we had. Even when we talked about the Collector.
Yeah. Now, I'll fast forward here before I come back. Yeah, in the preview. That's linked below. But that was to jump forward to that part. That was one of the parts where I wrestled with it in my initial, like, what did I think about the movie? And I was saying, okay, the Collector throughout the movies, in his end credit scenes and in the cuts that we had seen him, I was like, he's going to play a role. He's going to play a role. And I personally hyped it up. And then you get to Avengers Infinity War and you realize he's part of nothing more than a reality stone flip. And so we really didn't even see him die, but we just know he's dead. Well, we assume he's dead. Let me say that. And so I must admit, through all of that build-up, I'm thinking I would have been disappointed by that. And after I thought about it more, throughout the entire film, going back to the pacing, the way it's set up, I was like, it wasn't that bad. I felt like it was okay to not see Thanos get the two stones that he did end up with, i.e. the Power Stone and the Reality Stone. We never saw him physically take those, but we saw him take the other four. But it left me kind of like, okay, I'm okay with that. Like him flipping it and then using that reality in the scene with Gamora where she thinks she has killed Thanos. Yes, we're spoiling the whole thing.
Thanos has an issue
all
with
spoils out.
Yeah, he does have
He has a strong issue with bubbles. I don't know why bubbles are his favorite reality, but he likes bubbles.
I guess it's just the first thing that came to mind.
But I liked how they did that. I feel like if they would have taken the Collector and we actually saw Thanos come to the Collector and all that stuff, I think it would have been overkill. Like, I like how they presented the Collector, and we're sitting there like, oh, man. You know, like you said, Gamora's talking to him, all that stuff. She sees Thanos, she kills Thanos, and you're like, wait, that's not really it. Like, I like how they showed how the Reality Stone truly works in that. Like, when I thought about it, I was like...
You really never got that from the Reality Stone. Like, if you remember Thor 2, what did the Reality Stone do other than, like, take you from one space to another when
that's
they were
all
fighting
we
the
saw.
Dark Elves?
We threw some keys up, keys never came down. We threw shoe came down. Sock came down. Like, that's all we saw with it. So, I feel like the way they presented it with the Collector, now thinking on it, I'm like, I think that was enough for me. Like, it answered where the Collector was. Well, here he was. He's gone.
Yeah.
That's all I really needed.
Gone. Yeah.
Now, one thing that did shock me that I did not see coming was that Gamora knew the whole time where the Soul Stone was.
Yeah.
Like...
That broke theory after theory. We were sitting here, maybe it's in a heart-shaped herb on Wakanda.
Yes.
Maybe it's with Heimdall. And it's like, no.
Right.
Gamora knows where it's at.
Like the whole time.
Oh, what was the name of the planet?
It was like Varamir or something like that.
Vormir.
Yeah,
So,
something like that. That started with
Thanos.
Here's my theory on that. So you know the H was supposed to be representative of the Soul Stone.
Right, Heimdall.
That's what we assumed.
Right.
I'm going to say heart. Here's my theory on
But
that.
you Kwame, Captain Planet now?
Here's why I say that. Only in the theory that when they did the Red Skull reveal, when they get to Vormir, he gets up, Red Skull informs them, I'm all-knowing. In order for you to get the Soul Stone, you have to trade a soul for the Soul Stone. Thanos only cared about or loved what seemed to be one thing, and that was Gamora. Gamora, in essence, was his heart.
Yep.
She was the only thing that ever seemed to make him cry, make him reach a state of vulnerability. Love is connected to the heart. That's where I would fill in the H.
Okay, yeah, I'll accept that.
So that's where I feel that one in.
That makes sense.
Just
I don't see it being anything else. So.
I didn't like whole, but it wasn't. It was a
Cliff.
Just Cliff.
Yeah.
So
shout out to that scene though. Like that entire Thanos is such a relatable villain, and I hate that it's relatable. Like
because anybody, put it like this: anybody who in their life has ever said they want to end world hunger can agree with Thanos on a level.
Yep.
No matter how you slice it. If you've ever said, man, if we could end world hunger, if we could remove the difference between rich and poor and make everybody have an even playing field, if you've ever had that type of thought, you technically agree with some of Thanos' standpoints. Just point blank period. And that was his whole motive. He was a villain in a sense, but in his mind, he was all about world balance. I do appreciate that they didn't give him the standard, I want to rule the world. And then you get 2 hours into the movie and he meets Iron Man or whoever and he says, this is how I'm going to rule the world. Now that I've told you my plan, you know what I'm going to do. You're going to stop me. They killed all of that.
Leave your plan from Jump Street. You were going to snap your fingers and you were going to wipe everybody out. And Thanos set out to accomplish that objective. Didn't think twice about it.
And I like that the scenes were prophetic. Like, if you notice, everything that Thanos planned to do, somebody in the movie said it somewhere. When he was talking about balance, when he was showing Gamora when she was young, when he was showing off the knife, balance, too far to one side, too far to the other. But even when Gamora was like explaining to Thor and the rest of the Guardians, and she was like, you know, if he gets all 6 of those, he could wipe out the entire universe with the snap of his finger. It came down to a literal snap. Like, they didn't make it a summon an orb sphere and do some magic. Like, no, it was a literal snap. World ended.
Even down to Bruce Banner, like, telling Tony about Thanos. He was just a messenger. Hulk and Bruce Banner fought Thanos with 1 stone.
Yep.
And Banner said he has 2. He's already the most powerful being in the world.
Yep.
If he gets all 6, there's nothing we can do against him. So there were just different avenues of ways letting the team know that this is urgent. This is literally it. Like, Tony even said the last 6 years, or I think 6 years or something like that, this is what everything's been leading to. This is the end game.
Definitely haunted him. And I thought, well, first let me ask this of everybody. Favorite part, whether it was a character, a moment, what gave you goosebumps, what's got you most, and I know there was a lot. There was like almost a nerdgasm of stuff. Like, there was a lot of stuff that was just like
hard.
Wow.
So you can't ask that. I'm going to need you to like.
Okay, I'll break it down then. Let's do it in parts.
Okay.
Favorite character out of this film?
Oh man.
Ouch.
Oh.
Favorite.
Ooh.
Favorite performance, individual performance of a character.
Start with Kenzie.
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot.
Because I gotta think about that.
You know what? I'll go with Thor. Getting the new weapon.
Stormbreakers.
Man, and y'all saw what he did on Wakanda with that weapon.
Yeah,
such
he
a
was
hype
doing
scene.
damage.
That's
man.
pretty dope.
So I had to go with Thor.
Justin.
Oh no, Tiffany, passing it back over to you.
Oh my God.
Y'all can't be doing
it.
Favorite character. Okay, I got my answer. As far as I think the overall superstar of this movie, I have 2. And it's not Baby Groot, and y'all know, or Teenage Groot.
Yeah.
Because I love me some Groot. All I'm saying, if he was with me, he wouldn't be acting that way. He wouldn't be cursing. He wouldn't be playing video games, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so first is Thor. I agree with you, Kim. I think Thor did a lot in this movie, but it wasn't too much. It wasn't like, oh, the movie is totally focused on Thor. I think that they balanced it just enough. Like, we saw what Thor could do. We saw Thor as a god. My other one, and y'all are going to be shocked by this, Doctor Strange.
I was just thinking that because I just decided in my mind. And I know
Doctor
exactly
Strange. And the only reason...
Miss Doctor Strange ain't a team player.
No. He finally showed up. Yeah. He showed up finally.
He's been showing up.
No, he hasn't. But
he even said...
No, let her go. I need to hear this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
She's bashed him.
I'm angry.
Because the only reason is because Doctor Strange sat there and methodically thought out every possible scenario of how they could win.
14 million.
Yes, and he said it's one. And I think them letting Thanos get all 6 stones, knowing that Thanos was going to wipe them all out, I think Doctor Strange knew that was the only way. And I think that's going to play a big part in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Or 4, I'm sorry, 4. Yeah. So, I would say Thor as far as all his capabilities and what he did, but Doctor Strange for his methodical thinking. I know I'm going to die. Because he told Tony Stark, he was like, this is the only way, Tony. Like, I think he knew this had to play out, so he would be for my methodical thinking part.
I thought he was gonna let Tony die.
I think he couldn't because he knew he needed Tony for part 4.
Yeah. I think Tony plays an integral. Everybody in seeing that, I'm assuming, you know, with him seeing every single future, he knew that when Thanos did the finger snap, because Thanos also going back, and this was just perfectly aligned. He told his backstory about Titan. He said Titan was in a position where they were on the brink of extinction. And he came to the people of Titan and said, hey, we got to fix this. Pick randomly, rich, poor, doesn't matter. Don't do we're picking you, just do a random selection. His finger snap actually implied that rule that he wanted to use on Titan. There was no regular selection of people.
Hold up.
Go ahead.
Because, like, before we go too far off of that part, we're still doing, like, you know, favorite characters.
True.
Or moments, or...
I'll hold my theory.
Yeah.
I'll hold my theory. Your favorite character.
I gotta get there. Actually, I'm probably gonna agree with Tiff. Because Thor probably had the highlights of the movie. But Doctor Strange probably... I say he had the best fight scene, too. Even though it didn't last very long. But seeing all of his magic tricks... I'm just kind of upset he didn't really use the time stone, because couldn't they have, like, rewound time and stopped Star-Lord from messing up their plan?
I think that was part of the 14 million of how it could have gone wrong.
Right. Dr. Strange already saw all of that. In those 14 million, he probably already saw him using the time stone at least.
Not to mention,
multiples of those.
Let's just keep it honest. We all sat here and said, if they time stone or time loop their way out of something, we would all be disappointed. So they actually avoided that disappointment.
So what you're saying is they listened to us and they didn't cut us our check.
Not really.
Mama, we want that check.
We want that check.
Still ain't got no check.
But yeah, y'all know me. I love Spider-Man. I really do. And I finally got the Iron Spider, which was epic.
That was good.
But as for my favorite person in this movie or character, I have to give it to the star. Thanos was literally my favorite part about this movie, from beginning to end. From him being about business, getting his stones, him loving Gamora, him facing off against Tony, Doctor Strange, his immaculate use of all the Infinity Stones, even down to him coming back to Wakanda and getting his dream accomplished. Like, no villain in the Marvel Universe does that.
To piggyback off what you said too, like, from Guardians of the Galaxy, they have stated how much Thanos loved Gamora over Nebula. And I was just like, oh, you know, whatever, it's not that much. But truly, he loves Gamora way more than Nebula.
The way you actually wouldn't really pick up on it. Yeah. So it's like...
Because they never intricately visited their relationship outside of this film.
Right.
It was just reference.
There were just so many layers to Thanos, and I just enjoy that, because every other villain, like all the way from Iron Man 1, where we had was his
the mentor?
Bison or whatever his name was. I cannot remember his name, and I apologize. But
10 years ago, y'all, we got
it. Like ever since that villain who just wanted money and to rule the world basically through Stark Industries, all leading up to Thanos, that jump from villains has been so crazy to see like what Thanos is. That's huge.
And the stakes for the villains have become kind of empathize with them a little bit.
Yeah.
In cases of what they want, even going back. Of course, I think my favorite villain, if you want to call him that, has been Killmonger. So that's been mine. As far as Infinity War, I think my favorite star, honestly, I might go with Doctor Strange as well, just out of pure performance. And then when I think about the action scenes where they were fighting, I think he put on kind of a performance where in their films, a lot of them didn't show the individual characters' powers. Like even in a lot of the Thor films, outside of Thor 1, you wondered, like they seem to, in Thor 2 and 3, just slowly remove his ability, and you often forget he is the God of Thunder. For somebody to be the God of Thunder, he never really used it outside of Thor 1. Infinity War, oh no. When he got the Stormbreaker axe, that was it. Yeah. Great performance, but I think Doctor Strange, you can tell without us seeing a Doctor Strange 2 or seeing him anywhere else, well, the Thor 3 scene, but outside of that, you can kind of tell, even without seeing the films, he had been practicing and training and studying with the magic. Like he's doing stuff where he's making himself appear 100 different bodies. He seemed to have had more of a mastery of the time stone when he did have it, to the point where he's looking into the future. Even to some of the spells he was using.
Talking about what, Tiff? What?
Jerrell's just going ahead and proving that he has not been a team player. He's been steadily building himself.
The reality.
Jerrell just told you everything. This man being here.
Our reality.
In fairness, maybe he knew Thanos was coming. He didn't. But maybe he knew in a roundabout way. I'll say this, though. It had to be cut, but I was telling Justin this in a side conversation, too. That 15-20 second battle where Thanos is on the rock and he's staring at Doctor Strange and they're having a trade-off where he's like throwing the little red wrist energy band at him and grabbing his arm, and then Thanos yanks him off and he shoots something at him, and then Doctor Strange puts up the little glass mirror and then he pushes it at him, and then Thanos knocks something at him, and then he does a spell that turns it into butterflies. That whole exchange, if it would have been a Doctor Strange versus Thanos film, imagine that battle going on like 3 to 4 screen minutes.
Just shows you how powerful the mystical arts really are.
That's
They're
why we needed him in all the other wars.
But
he wasn't there. You know why? Because he's not a team. You're right, because guess what? The Avengers are team players, and he's not.
They're also broken up.
Yeah, the Avengers are broken.
But they came together. Doctor Strange.
And then half of them got wiped out.
No, just because they landed in his little Sanctum Sanctorium, he was like, well, I guess I'll help y'all.
Yeah.
Seems like
well, they have to protect.
He's the ultimate team player because he protects everybody in our reality.
He found a way to get along with Stark when a lot of people couldn't in that same time frame.
Did y'all see him in Sokovia? No. Did y'all see him in Wakanda? No.
It's not breaking our reality.
Villains come? My reality ain't threatened?
Let me see something from star 6925187. Let me stop that thing.
How did you number the star?
Hey, listen.
But I mean, Doctor Strange could just like throw a quick whip to like lasso the villain and just throw
Thank
him to
you.
the side.
But why should he?
He could.
Why not?
Because he be a team player.
Saving the reality.
Saving our reality, brother.
That's
All I'm saying, at the end of the day, taxpayers are paying millions of dollars to keep fixing New York and all these places.
Here's where I go.
That's all I'm saying.
Because I actually want to jump into this, because I will say this as my, let's do disappointments in the film, if you had any, because there wasn't a lot to be really upset about. Everyone here knows I have been practicing for months since they released the trailers to Thanos monologue.
Yes.
I was highly disappointed in the slight tweak. The trailer goes, dread it, run from it, destiny still arrives. The actual film goes, dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same. Slightly disappointing when you're in the theater trying to do a lip reading while that scene is happening.
We did, y'all. Sent us a video.
Another disappointment.
Okay, send a video.
Another disappointment. And I don't want to raise any alarm here, but I will say it is personally disheartening when New York has been attacked for 50 gajillion movies and you never see the U.S. military, Marines, Navy, or Air Force. Wakanda opened their doors one time, and you gotta fight the whole Wakandan army. New York done been attacked forever. You never see, nope, they never there.
They were in the first Avengers film.
They never there.
And then they ain't show up anymore.
They never there. Wakanda sitting
They were in the Hulk film as well.
E-Bombay. They was ready. They was at the front line.
He brought them all.
E-Bombay. So that was a, personal disheartening thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was really just the Thanos monologue. I didn't really have anything else. There was nothing that made me go, oh.
Okay, disappointments. Personally, for me, and don't get it twisted, I love this film. As a Marvel film, it's a 10 for me because of how well it works with every other Marvel film for the past 10 years. But as a film, as a movie, it didn't sit right with me that there were so many plot lines. And what I mean by that, even though there was one overarching plot line, you had the Iron Man front with Hulk, Doctor Strange landing in New York. Then you had the Thor front. Then you had the Guardians front. Then you had the Nomad Captain America front. Then you had the Vision, Scarlet Witch front. The movie seemed like it was everywhere to me at one point. And as a movie lover, I can understand that, yeah, you have to bring all these points together because there was a lot that needed to be said in this film. There were a lot of things that needed to be covered. But at the same time, just having so many different things and so many jumps and so many scenes, like, I felt like I was watching 3 movies at once, and that didn't really keep me, like, I wasn't satisfied with that as a movie watcher. As a Marvel fan, I loved it. It felt like I was getting 3-4 Marvel movies in one. But as a movie watcher, it was just like there was
from like storytelling wise,
right?
Just, like in a regular film, nobody would dare to do that,
right?
Honestly,
and that's
storytelling.
Go ahead, Justin.
That's pretty much the same thing I told Jerrell too. It's like the only problem for me was all the different scene transitionings that kind of took the momentum out of certain other scenes. Because when Spider-Man and Iron Man were going to save Doctor Strange, it was like, okay, he's captured. And then we don't get back to that until about 30 minutes later because we were off seeing what Thor is doing and what the other Guardians of the Galaxy are doing. So when we come back, it's like, oh yeah, they're saving Doctor Strange. And now we're actually getting to it. And it was just kind of like a weird pause in between.
See, I actually enjoyed that part.
Yeah.
To me, that's what made the movie great is because they didn't spend too much time on one individual plot. Like what you just said about how they were going to go and save Doctor Strange, and then they go to Thor. When they came back to Doctor Strange, they're like, they had saved him, and then, they're going to Titan. Well, we fast forward, and we're over here looking at this other stuff, and then I just assumed, like, oh, they still traveling. And then when they got there, I was like, oh, we landed. Like, I didn't need to see them travel to the Titan.
But that's where I have some problems with, like, not traveling to Titan because, like, of course, there are some, like, complications and issues, whatever. I don't need to see every scene. But, like, just take Iron Man and Spider-Man in general. When they get on the ship and they go into space to save Doctor Strange, what if, like, inside the ship there were a bunch of defense systems that they had to get through? Or, like, those scenes that I think that can be in between, I feel like I'm getting, like, the short end of the stick almost. Because I feel like it could be its own separate movie.
If it was like an Iron Man and Spider-Man, like, let's say it was just that particular part was like a comic book, they would show the route Spider-Man had to take to even get in the same room with Tony Stark.
Right. Like, what was Spider-Man doing before he
I get what you're saying, but looking at the movie, I didn't need that. Like, I don't need to see them disable countless defense mechanisms like we've seen once.
Like, I'm not saying I don't need
No, I'm just saying, like, I didn't need that for this movie. Like, I feel like the movie flowed so well, I didn't need that part. Like, I was fine with not seeing every single little aspect of it.
Yeah. I felt like the ebbs and flows were kind of subtle because, to your point, Justin, when they got on the ship to save Doctor Strange, it's like an immediate drop down because then you go back to Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. You just see Scarlet Witch and Vision and their little love motion. So it is kind of a drop in the motion because you're like peaking. You're like, oh my God, Doctor Strange has been captured. And then it's like, come down for a little bit. But then Vision gets struck with a spear, so pick right back up.
It got better as the movie went on because, it's like we started closing in on more hero groups than just individual heroes.
Yeah.
What about you, Ken?
I ain't really have any disappointment. The one thing that was just totally out of left field for me was Red Skull.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming out like, oh.
Yeah, I saw it in my seat.
Yeah,
shout out to Mark for calling
that.
Mark called
that was kind of weird for me, so I really wasn't disappointed.
You called it?
Yeah, in the preview.
Linked below.
Yeah.
He
said Red Skull.
Yeah, he did.
Which makes me think we still haven't gotten our Marvel check,
which is weird enough because he's like, I am all knowing. I'm like, man, if you could touch a space stone and then get zapped to a planet to guard another stone and be all knowing, that's not really a curse, is it?
Not really.
Maybe. I mean, some people don't want to know everything because that's a lot in your brain to know every.
He's just kind of up there chilling by himself.
Yeah.
Well, he said he came up there because he wanted to get the Soul Stone, but you have to sacrifice a soul for the Soul Stone, and he didn't have anybody to sacrifice.
That's the kind of sad because you're just no friends, nobody, just there.
Speaking of which, that monologue, Gamora, where she's trying to tell Thanos, "Hi, you failed. You don't love anybody."
Oh man,
he's just shedding tears at the moment.
Not even tears. He shed a single thug tear.
Yes,
that one.
Denzel Washington glory. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment he knew. It was at that moment he knew that he was gonna have to do something that he would really feel bad about.
Yep.
And that's what I go to the humanizing of Thanos. Like, dang, He really loved Gamora. Like, he just picked this girl up off a planet.
It's hard to hate Thanos. It really is hard to hate him.
It's like, man, that's just one balance.
Is how does he choose which kids to take from the planets that he brings order and balance to?
He just looked at Gamora and said, "You're a fighter."
But I mean, like, even with
the other ones, Ebony Maw,
they were all probably fighters. He saw the potential in them.
Because all of they seem to be a hand-picked group.
And Black Hand isn't his children. No, that's just
like... They claim that, though. They say the children of Thanos. Right. Because when Ebony Maw, which is the name of the ugly-faced dude who got the magical...
Squidward?
Yeah, Squidward. Squidward. But that's he has a pretty interesting, like, scary monologue in a sense. Now, here's what I do appreciate. We all knew that Thanos had a level that was above everybody. I do like that the enemies that worked under Thanos, they were pretty strong in their own right, but they didn't disrespect the Avengers to the point where the Avengers couldn't eventually take them. Yeah. I do like that the power balance was evenly, or I shouldn't say evenly, but perfectly set. Yes, you will struggle. They have a sense of power. There's a reason Thanos is picking them to serve up under him. But then you also look at it that these are the Avengers as well. They're not to be played with either. A lot of them have some magical powers and all this and that, and it seems like the ones that were known to struggle with their power seem to come into their own. Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange. The ones that in their films they were kind of new to what was going on with them, but as it progressed, Scarlet Witch, I remember when she was trying to figure out how the heck to move stuff, and the bomb that blew off when they did the Sokovia Accords, she's the reason that caused that, to the point now she's throwing out a red energy wave that's picking up like 7 gigantic blade wheels and throwing them joints across wherever.
And then she can fly with her stuff too.
Exactly.
Why was she up there the entire time?
Yeah. Shout out to Okoye. Why was she up there the entire time?
When you opened up our borders, I didn't think you were thinking about this. What did you think? I don't know. The Olympics. Maybe a Starbucks.
Starbucks. That was fun enemy.
Yeah.
Like,
they might not have wanted to do that Starbucks line.
Well, I mean, it was already
It was already recorded. But, I mean, all in all, I thought amazing about the movie. I'm interested in seeing where we go now. All of the, those corny scenes in the trailer where you're like, oh, that's going to be amazing. They were still just as amazing. Like when T'Challa goes, engage our defenses and get this man a shield. That was still just as epic as when I saw the trailer. Of course, everybody had crowd reaction moments, I'm sure.
Speaking of epicness, hypest scene. What scene got you sitting up in your seat?
It's not even debatable. Thor bifrosting with Rocket Raccoon and Groot. No disrespect to Groot. They didn't even have to be there. Thor solo, the orbs in his chest are now glowing. The cape is back red. He don't look like no colorless assassin. He's Thor garments. And he jumps up in full God of Thunder mighty and says, boom.
Guess what?
It's not even a debate.
He wouldn't have had
without Groot.
Thank you.
Fair. Yeah, true. I can't even say anything. I can't even say anything. That's my scene.
Yeah. Well, it was Tyrion's fault. They couldn't find the handle.
We're going to stop calling him Tyrion. His name's not Tyrion.
By the way.
Peter Dinklage, alright?
Yes, Peter Dinklage. By the way, they made him larger than Thor.
Hey, shout out to that tweet.
Yes.
Shout out to the tweet
and it kind of looked
that showed him with the Mario mushroom. That's essentially what it was. They gave Peter Dinklage a Mario mushroom where he's still a dwarf. He's just a gigantic dwarf. That was dope. That was dope. Shout out to Groot for being able to help and assist with Stormbreaker. We greatly appreciated it. Iron Spider was an epic scene too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty dope.
I'm so happy that they held back on the previews and didn't show his appendages for the Iron Spider suit. When I saw those things in action and they acted like how they acted in the comics, I'm like, thank God. Yes. Just yes. Just absolute yes.
The nano, what are they called? Nanoparticles for the Iron Man suit. That was perfect. I guess that was his way to hide it from Pepper because, he used to always have to have, it was either a watch or something and he transformed into Iron Man with it. So now that it's embedded in him, I think that's pretty cool.
Seems painful.
Yeah. Seems painful, but that suit was making things on the fly. Like, it was doing some spectacular things.
One thing that I think is going to be interesting coming to part 2 is this war between Bruce Banner and Hulk.
I wouldn't even call it a war at this point. I would call it Hulk just being a little punk from getting.
See, I thought he was gonna make an appearance.
He did make an appearance, and he got that Mortal Kombat combo in the beginning of the film.
Like, I just wonder how they're gonna rectify this, because I think eventually we have to see Hulk.
Yo, there ain't no eventually. Hulk has to. Who do we have left? We have the original 6 Avengers: Rocket, Wasp, Ant-Man, and at the end of the film, we saw Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You're not standing up against Thanos without
no
more.
No! That was funny.
What do you mean, no?
That really was funny. And I do want to do a quick pivot here, because this is the part that I think everyone was up in arms about. All right, so now, the part everybody's been talking about, I've seen it a lot on my social media personally, the ending.
Ooh, buddy.
A lot of people feel certain ways about it. Whether you were, comic book knowledge, just strictly MCU. Full disclosure, I've been more so MCU.
Yeah.
Minor comic book knowledge that I get from this gentleman here.
I'm a nerd.
And also, you could tell the hype beast who probably jumped in, maybe Avengers 1, 2, maybe they did some research, but a lot of them, maybe Black Panther to this point, wherever they jumped in. In the theater, I've seen it twice. Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday, completely different experiences. Thursday, very quiet, quizzical. A lot of people were wondering what was going on during the ending after Thanos did his finger snap. People started faking. A lot of people Friday night, you knew it was hype beast there. Oh, what? No. And I love the way Marvel paced the fadeaways. So it was like, you see Bucky. Yes. A couple people here where they're like, okay, dang, he's gone. Yeah. Then they start getting the heavy hitters. And it's like, wait. Then they hit your heart a little bit.
Yeah, man.
God, Peter Parker, man.
Oh,
it's the start.
Yep.
That hit your heart?
I don't feel so
Yes.
It was bad.
I mean,
he's 15.
Yeah.
But in a way,
He told him to go home.
not even 15.
He did.
He's Marvel's poster boy.
Exactly.
They killed Spider-Man.
But then not even just
but what
that.
makes it worse is that they kind of drew it out too, because most people just disappeared. He literally
his was
sat
kinda
down.
dark.
I don't feel so
I
good.
don't feel so good. Then
I don't want to go. I
Oh
don't
my
want to go. I
God.
don't want to go. I don't want to go.
when Groot faded.
Man, now that right there.
But Tiff, you talking about really for Spider-Man? He's a
She
tree.
don't care when the teenager died, but
he's
she
an
cares.
enemy.
You know how
He's
she
a
care
tree.
about. You know how she care about Groot.
But Jerrell, did you see Rocket? Rocket was like, no, Groot, and Groot just.
The tree and the raccoon.
I was like, oh, Groot.
You an insensitive human.
And then, of course, everybody, us is his personal favorite. When T'Challa was like, General, this is no place to die.
And then you just saw her like,
There were a lot of people who were distraught, dismayed, Rigerton Monroe.
I was actually thankful for that scene.
I
Don't
liked it.
hear me out. Hear me out, us's. I was so happy. I was so happy for that scene just because Marvel said we're not holding back. They got rid of their poster boy, and they got rid of their #1 grossing film character right now.
And they got rid of the level.
And they got rid of their #1 grossing film character
And
right
the
now.
lovable group.
So
It makes sense since he was like the richest man. So
right, like they weren't holding any blows. For those of you who do not read the comic books, let me go ahead and fill you in on Infinity War. People die. Half of the universe dies. Just because there's a certain character that you love does not excuse them. We're all surprised that the original 6 Avengers are still alive.
Yeah.
All of us thought that they were going to go after either Captain America, Thor, Iron Man. Turns out, all of them survived.
But you know what? I think all of that, there's a reason for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Doctor Strange, like, I don't like Doctor Strange, but I liked him in this movie. Like, he went out like a G. He was like, Tony, bruh.
It's the only way.
This is the only way, bruh. But I'm not going to be upset about it. He smirked when he went out. I'm like, you smirking, you fading, bro. Like, you becoming dust. And you like, I'll be back. Avengers 2. Come save me.
Yeah.
Like,
handle your business.
Yeah.
I think he knows. Like, he's seen what has to happen. So.
Thoughts on the ending, guys?
I I was like, you know what? Okay, I see all this. When Black Panther started fading, I was like, okay, time jump has to happen. Okay, time jump. Look, when I went on Friday, it was enough kids in there. You would think it'd be a recording for a Kids Bop album, I swear. There weren't that many kids in there. When Black Panther started, everybody like, what is going on? And then, of course, you had the credit scene with Nick Fury. Agent Hill first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then Nick Fury after that, like, oh, man, they took some people out.
Yep.
Took them out.
No holds barred.
I don't even think it'll be a time jump, but I'll get back to that in a second. Justin, what about you? What did you think about the ending?
Oh, boy. I actually think hype beasts are pretty good in situations like that because they kind of have a way of drawing out more emotions. Because I was confused and I didn't know what the heck was going on either. I was like, okay. And at first I thought, oh, it's just random people fading, so not that big of a deal. But then, yeah, when our hero started fading, I'm like, oh, wait, this is bad. I was thinking maybe everyone was about to die and they were going to leave it off on that type of ending. And the music didn't help. It was just so silent. And right after with the credits, it was just this sad kind of melancholic music.
I give kudos to The Sopranos, like ending with the fade to black. When I think it was Gamora, if I'm not mistaken, she asked Thanos, not child Gamora, but when she was still alive, she asked him, "What will you do when you get all six?" Mm-hmm. Or no, it wasn't Gamora. It was on Titan when they were doing the battle, and he said, "Then I'll rest and watch the sunset." Yep. And by golly, as sure as the sun come up, that Joker snapped his fingers. He spoke to Child Gamora in the soul realm, and he was somewhere on a lush green place with the sun setting, and he rested. That Joker sat down like he finished a long, hard day of work, and stared off with a blank face, and he exhaled, and it cut to black.
That's why he was the star of the film.
Now, one thing that made me mad, Marvel. Y'all know good and gosh darn well that Thanos will return. Bruh.
Oh, yeah.
I know that end credit was kind of petty.
Yes.
Really?
Thanos will return.
And then, even the title, did y'all see, like, it wasn't even this fancy title, it was just this bold Times New Roman life. Infinity War. And then it faded away.
Yeah, and notice the word infinity was fading before.
Yes.
See, that hit you with an okay note, because I thought it was going to be a credit scene right there.
Yeah.
See, everybody thought it was going to be a credit scene, and then when they started just showing the credits,
and the lights come on,
everybody like, oh, come on. So we had to stay for the
lights. I saw a funny joke where somebody said they killed your boy Loki before the lights even went off good in the theater.
Oh, man, they did.
That was a little blow. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Speaking of which, and I know this is kind of getting off topic, I liked how the movie, as soon as it started, boom, ship, boom. Like, literally, right
bodies on the floor.
Yes. Which, before we get too far away into, like, our next topic, where's Valkyrie?
You know what?
Where's Valkyrie?
I'm assuming she died on the ship.
But a character that influential in Thor 3, you would think that they would... Yeah. Right, they would at least show her. Where's Valkyrie?
I don't know. I was wondering that too.
Or, where's Hawkeye and Ant-Man? Ant-Man will get a chance to see. Hawkeye, no idea.
They took plea deals, we know that much.
And the Russo brothers were like, hey, Hawkeye's on a secret mission. What? We know he can't be looking for a stone now.
And we know he's not looking for Captain Marvel because Fury sent the notification to Captain Marvel, so...
Well, my guess is he'll probably make an appearance in the next movie.
He has to.
At some point. Like, I'm still alive. Everybody faded away. What's going on?
Like,
so does that mean she didn't fade?
Nah, she didn't. Why would you send the signal to her?
But he technically doesn't know she faded.
But I'm talking about, like, for movie sakes. Why would you even have that scene?
She's not gonna fade because she's got her film coming up. So I doubt it's a situation.
But it's like Ant-Man and Wasp. We don't know if they faded or not.
We don't know they faded, but
because as I found out of yesterday, right now the Captain Marvel movie is planned to come out in March, and Infinity War Part 2 is going to come out in April.
Right. There's only 2 movies in between Infinity War and now. And that's, well, not Infinity War, but Avengers 4 and now. That's Ant-Man and Wasp and Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So we have a very, very long period of no Marvel movies. And after this movie, it does us right.
But I do like they're having a quick turnaround because I think they knew they're not blind to their own success. I think they kind of knew, all right, if we're going down this route where our ending is going to cater more to our hardcore consumer, we need to have a quick backup for the hype beasts that are just here after maybe the first two Avengers or Black Panther or wherever they may have jumped in and said, oh my gosh, you know, people do things because everybody's doing them. Point blank, period. I know a lot of people who go see these, oh, I'm not into it, but I'm going to just go see it. And I've had plenty of people that I've met are like, who's White Wolf? Where does he come in? What is he for? And I'm like,
and in a way, I can kind of appreciate that because you're not really going into it as a Marvel movie. It's just another movie to you, but at the same time,
and I think that
without any context, it kind of does get.
That perspective is needed, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot that you'd have to sit here and explain because somebody's gonna say, "Well, how do they know each other?" And it's like, you gotta go back.
Like,
try going to 2010.
That's like almost the equivalent of going to see Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2 and not seeing any Harry Potter movie up to that point.
They lost.
Or trying to get into a new TV show and jumping in at like season 3 or something.
You have to have context. Like, it's 10 years in the making. It doesn't take much to just watch one.
Because the funny thing about it, speaking of which, is all these movies are standalone. All of them prior to. And what you'll notice is, yes, there are carryovers from Avengers 1, Avengers Age of Ultron into this one. But each Avengers film is like an end cap to the films that preceded them. So it's like they all represent a specific segment in time, and only certain things carry over, i.e. the references to, Vision's made of Ultron and what. So that's where you have to see the earlier films, because if you don't see Age of Ultron, you don't know what Vision is made of.
Or even with Rocket giving Thor the eye and then talking about Bucky with the arm, like those type of jokes.
Like White Wolf and all of that. Really.
And heck, when they bring the suitcase to Bucky and give him the arm, you're like, why is he just bringing a suitcase to a guy with an arm? And of all the things, why does it have to be an arm? Why is his arm missing?
Even if, why is he there?
Exactly.
Like, if you like, wait. Civil War, you don't even know why Bucky is there.
How did he get to Wakanda? It's like you don't know any of that without the context previously. But I think Marvel's done a good enough job where you could say they set it up for this, but they didn't have to retell stories. It was like, no, you better. They assumed, and most people did, you binge watch all the movies before this one and you say, we're going to see it this day and I'm up to speed. Point blank, period.
All right, guys. Closing topic. Leading into the next film, Avengers 4. Theories, speculations, hopes. What do you guys want to see in Avengers 4? How do you want to see this get resolved, or do you just want to see it all crash and burn?
Well, I'm assuming Captain Marvel is going to play a huge role in 4. So, question, is she like strong like Phoenix from X-Men strong?
Absolutely.
Strong?
She basically is a star.
Okay. Bionic Force.
So, why was she sitting out this whole time during the whole Avengers
stuff
when New York was falling apart?
I think they're going to have to explain that part in.
Oh, they got to explain that part? But they didn't explain why Doctor Strange...
Well, no, that's a good question.
Why ain't she a team player then?
We don't know. That's what I'm saying. We have to.
I want to know.
We don't know.
I want to know
because look, you have to admit though, Terence. They've already shown their hand that comic book wise,
I'll stay away from
they're willing to do certain things based off the comic and certain things that they want to veer off the comic a little bit.
I'm just waiting
I will
for
say
Terence to start
this.
saying that she ain't a team player.
I will say this though. You've already admitted she's basically a star, like the physical embodiment of a star. You don't want to just have a star floating around on some stuff you got a team of people that could take care of.
I mean, you got a god just floating around.
Well, I mean, Thor is not contained.
You got an
by the realm of
intergalactic
Earth.
being who doesn't want to come and help us when New York gets hit. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, he did take all that energy from that star when they were making that weapon.
My theory about Captain Marvel, maybe she was in cryogenic freezing. Maybe Nick Fury put her in like a cryogenic pod, and that signal wasn't even a notification. It was saying, unfreeze the pod. Activate this
But that's
agent.
what I'm saying. I think they have to explain that in her movie.
Right.
Like, I think her movie's going to explain what she's been doing this
right,
whole
because
time.
if you really think about it, that happened some time ago. She would age like Fury, but in the images that we've been seeing, she hasn't been aging like Fury. She's not
Did
old.
you say she's like some cybernetic thing or something?
Oh no, she's human.
She's human.
She's human. Bionically infused with the power of the star.
Did they? And I'm not for certain. So this is a question. Did they say that Adam Warlock is going to be in this one, or no?
Originally, they said that Adam Warlock was not going to be in Infinity War. He was only going to be in Guardians 3.
Okay.
We don't know if he's going to be in 4 or not.
Okay. I just couldn't remember if they said that or not. Another question. Does Captain Marvel know, what's his name, Dr. Pembroke from Ant-Man and Wasp, the dad?
Hank Pym?
Yeah, Pym. Yeah. Does she know him?
She might, because Pym was the original Ant-Man, so they might have crossed paths in her old history of being Captain Marvel, but we don't know.
They might that might be something to watch for come July.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
and
even
if
think
it
about
happens, you heard it here first. Marvel, run us our
they
check.
gotta start.
Run us our check.
As we practically call it.
Anybody else? Theories?
Only thing, theory. Gamora comes back some kind of, everybody pretty much comes back in the future. I'm assuming.
Do they come back and stay back, though? Or do they end up dying?
Vision's still dead, Loki's still dead. Those
Actually,
are
that's a good segue into my thing. I think maybe 1 or 2 more people are going to die, and I think it'll be like a permanent death. Maybe Captain America?
I go him and Iron Man.
I would go him and Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye does a grandiose entrance and dies. I like that thinking with Cap. Because everybody was waiting for Cap to die on this one. I don't know if they're going to go with Bucky taking the mantle, but I think Cap does die.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know how I feel about Cap needing, or Steve Rogers needing to die and the mantle being passed, but it's really up to whatever Marvel wants to do right now, because if they leave him alive, then they can, now that Captain Marvel's going to be in the MCU, you can lead into Civil War 2 with, like, all the other heroes that you're going to introduce eventually. Yeah. Or, like, my hopes, by 2019, hopefully some kind of way, somehow, I don't know, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, X-Men, add these characters, get these characters into your films. Because
that's asking for a lot.
That's asking for so much, but Justin, in the preview, I asked for them to just snap their fingers and wipe out half the universe, and Marvel delivered. So Marvel, I'm challenging you again. If you watch this video, get those characters, put them in, make this final fight against Thanos the one to remember.
Yeah. To your point, if they go with the original idea of making Avengers Infinity War a 3-part film, and if they could pull some stops out, they could have one of the Avengers films be kind of it might be risky, because we dislike some of the X-Men series for all their resets.
Yeah.
But if they took like that second part of Infinity War and maybe did a find and seek of Captain Marvel, Fantastic Four. Hey, I know this group. They do a little bit of work in this area. We got a big orange guy, a guy that lights on fire. Like, if you find a way to bridge them in, because Spider-Man was one of the best, never been here before, now you're here seamlessly, I've ever seen in a film, where somebody just comes out of nowhere technically, I've ever seen. So I trust they can do it. It's just tough. And maybe you don't do it with all the X-Men. Maybe you do it with your frontline ones. Maybe you just get Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, a couple of them, and piece them. But I like that thinking. I think if they could, you have an epic standoff in the end.
Mm-hmm. Who's to say they haven't faded away?
Who is to say that?
Well, maybe that's why you only have the certain ones left. Because some of them are, hey, people have started fading. Maybe somebody meets, I know you guys do, you're the Avengers, I'm such and such. Let's get this right and fix it.
So you want kind of like an entire movie dedicated to looking for Captain Marvel?
Not, she's got her own film. But what I'm saying is maybe a movie where the rest of the team is joining.
The new Avengers assemble.
Maybe. But any other thoughts, discussion points?
Iron Man's getting the final blow on Thanos.
If you all notice in the movie, after Thanos snaps his fingers and you see it just, the universe, and then it goes back to him before he teleports away from Thor, the gauntlet is fried. Yeah, it's like it's singed, and the stones, they look a little cracked. That's going to be a huge factor in the next movie.
That was going to be my question, because let's say next movie they destroy Thanos, gauntlet destroyed. What do you do with those Infinity Stones? I mean, like, we know that Doctor Strange is going to get his back, but what do you do with the rest of them?
That comes into play with the Illuminati, and if they can successfully do the Illuminati without Namor, Professor X, Black Bolt, and all of them, and they make a new, like, Illuminati, basically, for those of you who don't know, the Illuminati is this secret group in the Marvel Universe that is in charge of protecting the Infinity Stones.
It's not Jay-Z and Beyonce. For y'all. This ain't it.
Completely separate Illuminati. But yeah, they formed this group in order to, like, house and protect the Infinity Stones because they just can't let these things go out again. Because if someone does what Thanos did, they'll be in trouble again. So if they can pull off the Illuminati, like, Marvel just has so much ammo.
And Tiff, I'll go ahead and say it for you. Why would they still be on Earth? We can't keep all these powerful objects on Earth.
Let me zoom in for the camera for that one.
Oh no!
Did Professor Xavier get like the Mind Stone or something?
I don't know who gets each individual stone, but like for the Illuminati, it's Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Professor X, Namor,
Black Bolt,
Tony Stark, and Captain America. Those are the 6 original members of the Illuminati, if I'm not mistaken. And then they interchange members, like Black Panther joins in, Professor X dies because Red Skull kills him and takes his brain. There's a lot.
How the heck did Red Skull come from?
Red Skull never got
Right,
faded
you
away.
see, he's here. We saw him in this one.
Yeah, you saw him. Red Skull basically made Hydra come back again, and it's just there's
That's
a whole
my question though,
tangent.
because Red Skull said that he went in search of the Soul Stone, but in Captain America, the first Avenger, I thought he shot Red Skull down. Like, what happened to Red Skull?
He faded. He was holding the Tesseract, and then he just into the sky.
Yeah.
So we're saying the theory is that he went to board.
Here's what I'm thinking, because technically, a lot of people that were getting shot when they were putting their energy into those guns, a lot of people that were being shot were just like being obliterated into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
To that point, he never really died.
Yeah.
He beamed up, essentially.
So did all those people just...
So the way Thanos was using the Space Stone, I'm thinking Red Skull kind of activated it that way without even meaning to.
But it did something to his body along the ways.
Because he was in search of the Soul Stone, but from Captain America, First Avenger, this man ain't saying nothing about no Soul Stone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, like, where that connection came.
Because after that happened, he probably became all-knowing at that point, so he knew about the Soul Stone.
So you're saying the Tesseract made him all-knowing?
Well, no, remember, and this is what I said on the preview. I think it was Maul who asked about it, if I'm not mistaken, about how we were talking about Ultron and about the knowledge that Ultron got and about Vision possibly getting knowledge on the stone. And I was like, well, if you notice, Red Skull was aware, even if he didn't know they were called Infinity Stones, even if he didn't know what power they held, he knew he was looking for something. Like, he knew where the Tesseract was. So maybe he already knew even about the Soul Stone, and it was just those particular ones. Maybe he couldn't even get access to the other ones at the time. Because I wouldn't want to take on people in the Sanctum Sanctorum either if I knew they had the Time Stone. Because them ain't no regular people. Right? So, yeah. That's just me, though.
They didn't show what happened to Doctor Strange's partner.
Wong? He just went back to
go. But they didn't show, like, whether he faded away or not. So that was kind of weird to me.
Wong just chilling.
Yeah, he might still be there. Speaking of which, we
I
never
guess
got
he's the one protecting the reality now.
I bet Wong will do some stuff. Wong needs to get paid.
Speaking of Doctor Strange, we never got a Baron Mordo viewing. So I guess
I didn't talk to Willow because Baron Mordo was never in that trailer. I don't know what Willow was talking about when we...
Willow just saw a black person and was like, that's him.
I was like, Baron Mordo? I wanted to bring it up way back when I was like, Baron Mordo was not in this trailer. What is he talking about?
I thought I was like, that's him, bro.
Shout out to Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Wait, this is recording right now?
Yeah.
My bad, Willow.
I'm trying to figure out how we're going to close this because what did I say to you before we closed?
I was talking about why are the Infinity Stones still on Earth?
And I said, look what happened when they're not on Earth.
Yeah. And then that's where we cut it.
Okay,
so
they just can't win.
Where do y'all want to pick up? And then I'll just cut and I'll filter all that.
I did not know we were recording right now.
Recording the whole
I
time.
thought you had stopped it and like and then we were going to
Why you think I came back and said
My bad.
I'll just try to segue back to look what happens when they're not on Earth. In 3, 2, 1. Yeah, but what happens when they're not on Earth? Like they were on Xandar got blown up. Yeah. The Reality Stone was in nowhere. Look what happened to nowhere. Like, all the stones that were not on Earth, Thanos got easily.
But that don't mean he need to come to Earth still. I don't want to get blown up.
The Earthlings gave him the most challenge.
Yeah, they were the only ones.
That don't make me feel better. It made me sleep better at night.
We gotta boost the defenses of all these other planets because they're
Thank you. Right. I agree with you, Justin.
Also, last theory: if the Illuminati do form, what I think is when they bring everybody from the universe back, right? I think they wipe the minds of everybody in the universe, aside from the people and aside from a few others with the Mind Stone. Right.
So it was only just a dream?
Not just a dream, but it didn't happen. Because if you think about it, if you come back and you realize, holy cow, I died.
Wait.
But that's on a universal scale. That's so much pain.
Who doesn't get wiped?
Who doesn't get wiped?
Yeah. Or does everybody? Because somebody has to do the wiping.
I don't know. I think the people who don't get wiped are the Illuminati, if they do the Illuminati, and maybe like a few others. I don't know who in particular.
I was assuming the 6 Avengers that we have alive right now.
Possibly. But there's a whole line of lists and theories that I can go on. And maybe one day I might make a video. I don't know. But that's my whole spiel. That's theories, speculations. Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Indeed, all around.
Yeah. Good job, Mark.
Good job, Mark.
10 years.
Good job, Mark. You did it.
That's where the
long road to that.
You did it.
You did it. You did it. Anything else pressing anyone needs to discuss?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm locked in and loaded for the next 10.
10 years in the making, man.
Vision died twice.
Oh, 2 minutes.
Technically, he died more than that.
It's so
He
heartbreaking.
got a lot of pain. She got stabbed so many times.
Life. Artificial and real. But yeah, man, once again, shout out to Marvel, shout out to Willow, Blank, Jamarcus in their absence. We see y'all. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. Thank you for viewing, watching. As always, please like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
All links and socials are below. As stated, the link to our Avengers Infinity War preview is already below as well. Please view that, check it out, share, like as well. Thank y'all for viewing. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
This has been another episode of the It Started With a Thread podcast. We out.
Catch y'all next time.